And we're live. Holy moly. All right. It's a mad Friday. Mad Friday for a mad week. Let me tell you, I've been doing some running around this week. Didn't even get a chance to exercise yesterday. I was in first thing yesterday instead of last thing like originally planned, because that's how the film industry rolls. Never as you expect. Let me go see if I can find some coffee, because I know what's going to happen is I'm going to run out of time. And if I run out of coffee, it ain't pretty for anybody. So, yeah. Jane?
Yeah?
Can I come up with the internet?
Sure.
If I don't show you. Where are you? Oh, you're over there. Okay, great. I'm over here. Okay. I'm hiding Jane, because Jane does not like to be seen after burn and learns, just so you know. Something about glowing, not sweating. I'm assuming this coffee's ready, right, Jane?
Of course.
Oh, chop, woman, come on. Some of us have got work to do.
It's your job.
That's my job, it's true. I'm showing off for my friends on the interwebs, aren't I? Anyways. Oh, there's coffee in here. We could just nuke this. Can I? That's a lot of coffee. Anyways, hello everybody. I don't have my glasses on, so I can't see who you are, but hello everybody. Hello, blur. Oh, good morning, blur. There's a lot of coffee here. I feel like I'm wasting it if I don't use it. Coffee.
Maybe I made a lot yesterday.
Yeah, it's like a whole thing of it. It's still slightly warm. All right, I'm gonna nuke it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nuking the coffee.
You'll lose the internet.
Please feel free to talk amongst yourselves. I'll lose the internet? You think so? That's not a good sign. That means we've got electrical stuff. Anyways, so did not do a burn and learn yesterday. I admit it. I confess, dear internet. I confess it has been one day since my last workout. Yeah, I just they switched up my day. Are you giggling at me?
Yeah.
Oh, that's why I married her. She laughs at my jokes. So they switched my day up. I thought, oh, leisurely, lie in and hang around eating bonbons until the evening. But no, it was wake up, my friend, throw some eggs down you and let's go. So we shot my scenes first up, and then, but first up, as you'll find that you start Monday morning, early in the morning, and then by Friday, you're into what they would call Fraturday, which is basically where Friday starts so late that by the time you finish, you're well into Saturday morning. So that's often what happens with things. It's a little better during COVID because they're trying to keep our hours down so we don't, go crazy and breathe on each other or something. Today I'm off on another adventure, and I've actually been a total nerd. One of my favorite things in the past little while was the audition for this thing that I'm going to do a hair and makeup test for today. Apparently it's all going ahead and all, but I just thought, if you get a chance to stand by yourself on film in a magnificent costume with some amazing, prosthetics and stuff, I thought you sort of want to be able to say something. So I dug up the old audition, which was this magnificent monologue that this guy had written, which was not in the show. Apparently, he was saying, and I can't name names or anything because I'll get in trouble. But basically, he wrote this brilliant monologue of just like fun, megalomaniac, just really cool stuff. So I thought, well, I'll go and I'll revisit that while I was on the burn and learn treadmill, the torture device. So on the torture device, I basically learned my lines about torture. And so I have a sort of a rough idea of something I can sort of launch into, because, why waste that footage? You know what I'm saying? As an actor, it's fun to act. And for me, I love the words, you know what I mean? Like, and this is almost Shakespearean in its evilness. So I'm really looking forward to doing that today. But of course, before that, I got a meeting I got to go to, which is why I won't talk for long now. And luckily, it's not a Zoom meeting, so I could be sweaty and gross. And then, although can I? Because then I still have to get ready to go, don't I? Oh, good point. No, I can't talk for long at all. Sorry, can't talk. And then I'm sweating everywhere. It's so gross. The other thing I noticed is just, I think I've said this before, how fast time goes by when you're learning lines. Learning lines on the torture device, it's gone in seconds. For some reason, I guess the process of learning lines distracts me to such an extent that the time goes very, very quickly. So I didn't even feel it. Like I felt like I should do more, but I thought, no, you know what? Then you arrive on set and you can't move, and that's not very good. So yeah, so I've got to film that this afternoon. Then Lordy Lord, I've got a Saturday sort of free. Although I'll probably do my tech talk with Barnacules if I can too. And then Sunday I'm back to filming again. But next week I think schedule returns to somewhat normal, the new normal. And so I'm looking forward to that. I did look up the Fermi paradox. Thank you very much, Imperador, who had mentioned that a couple of days ago. I finally sat down to a little bit of perusing of the interwebs, and I have heard of it before. I didn't remember how I knew it, but it's the idea is that, look, if there's so many possibly habitable planets out in the universe, why haven't we seen why are we no seeing any aliens? That's what Fermi was saying. So Fermi was asked that question, and he sat down. This is the guy who sort of like basically in his mind discovered the neutrino and was amazing at these sort of very solving very complex math problems with simple sort of back of the envelope type mathematics, as they said in this little article on him. The one I loved was he would, during the, I guess the atomic bomb tests, he would drop little pieces of paper to see how far they moved. And then he would estimate the force of the blast based on how far these little bits of paper had gone. And he was, I mean, they say he was very accurate. I think he estimated like 10,000 pounds of TNT, and it was actually 21,000 pounds, which to me seems a little off. But apparently that was the closest estimate they had at the time. I guess because they've never dealt with something like this before. So the fact that he was that close was, I suppose, surprising for again pen and pencil type thing. So the Fermi paradox. Apparently, he sat down at a diner one day when someone said, "Why haven't we seen any aliens?" and started trying to work out why why that could be, and was saying, like, look, given the math on this, it seems that there should be many, many planets in the Goldilocks zone, which is good for life. There should be many, many forms of life out there. Why have we not seen nothing in our time? And it's a question that people have been sort of debating for a very, very long time, whether it's just that we haven't noticed them. Maybe they're not what we're expecting, so we just don't see them. Maybe they're very, very small. Maybe they are very, very big. The theory that I really like is this one called the filter. I guess it's the filter. It just sounds kind of ominous. But the idea that what's required to get to the point where we would meet them. They have to, the planet has to be habitable. Life has to evolve. Life has to evolve in a way that brings forth, quote unquote, intelligent beings like ourselves who have both the power to get off the planet and also probably destroy the planet. So do they destroy the planet? Do they move forward? There's all of these different filters. And is it possible that we are the first, again, feels unlikely to me, but is it possible that we are the first civilization to have got through all those filters and are now in a position to start exploring? Or have we yet to face the filter? Like, have we yet to face that final thing that hurdle we can't overcome to get out there? So, I don't know how we'll ever figure that one out, but it was just kind of fascinating. There's just a thing about reading about all these old scientists and stuff. Like, just God, it's the idea of someone sitting down over coffee and a nice egg breakfast and figuring out things like this just is absolutely remarkable to me. If you wrote it in a film, people would go like, "Oh, that's ridiculous." But the reality is that's what that's how these people were functioning. It's amazing. And speaking about like brilliant minds, I watched this fantastic thing organized by my friend Widow Web. So on Twitter at Widow Web. She and a number of her co-entomologists, although she's an arachnologist, I guess. She does spiders. Her friends do bugs, I guess, for the layman here. But she's doing a thing called Black in Ento, and the idea is to get other Black entomologists talking to each other, talking to everybody, making old white straight guys like me aware that not only do they exist, but that they should exist, and that this sort of systemic racism and bias and sort of stereotypes that exist in our world that have been forcing them or keeping them out of the sciences and STEM. A apparently, according to what this chat, they were saying that so many black kids were being, STEM was never considered. They never considered science, technology, engineering, and math because it was just like that wasn't a black thing to do or something. So, so that was a sort of an eye opener for me. Also, just the idea of being a woman. I mean, not only are they dealing with this, what do they call this? Fantastic. They said the term for it was visibly invisible. Which is which is the feeling of being in these institutions where they are the only person of color, the only black person in the institution, and as well as being the only woman in the room. So they've got these, and it was. It sounds all very sort of raw and all this, but the reality is this chat was that, and it was inspiring, but it was also very, very funny, very, very just entertaining. Hearing their stories about trying to breastfeed while they're looking for deadly black widow spiders in fields in Australia or in Africa or wherever else they're looking for the bugs and the spiders and stuff. It's just I talk about the advantage of diversity. The idea of having these completely different perspectives on stuff that seems very sort of like sciencey science is just it was just wonderful. So go and check out Widow Web on Twitter at Widow Web. So widow and then web, like 2 W's, and go look up this Black and Ento. I think it's the whole week. Basically, she's doing like a Black and Ento week. So they're talking to artists who do like bug art, and then they're talking to scientists about their different about their experiences with entomology, and again, just with the idea of giving people a perspective of black scientists in entomology and stuff, in the same way that they've done it with other fields. That someone just was like, hey, wait a second, why haven't, I feel like maybe I'm the only, am I the only black scientist studying bugs? Like, they were sort of feeling rather sort of isolated. And the whole idea of this is to go like, hey, I'm doing this too, you're not alone. And also to inspire, sort of younger generations to follow in their footsteps and stuff, to follow in their tiny little bug footsteps. Anyways, just an amazing chat. And as I say, Median is a Widow Web and is a wonderful person to follow for the science, the geeky science, and some really important social change. I suppose activism, I guess, is the term. I don't know. I mean, this is one of the things that they talked about, which I found sort of unfortunate in a way, I guess, is she's saying like, she was the only black female scientists in many of the organizations and places that she either worked or studied or was doing her research. And so, of course, she was always sort of being taken aside and saying, look, you've got to run the committee on diversity, or you've got to do this. Like they refer to it almost like as a tax, which is just, I never even considered this. The idea that you're here, so you've got a responsibility to handle all the black stuff for us. Because all of us old white scientists and stuff, we don't want to deal with that. That's your department. And it's like, she's like, I want to study spiders. I don't want to do, I don't want to handle all this bureaucracy as well. But of course, eventually she realized that, the things weren't changing and she had to get into it. But just, God, amazing. Anyways, so fascinating chat. And I will try to find the link, and maybe I don't know if I can put things in the chat here. And I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on, so I really can't read the chat. I have no idea what people are saying. Oh, wait a sec, are those my glasses? Oh, there you go. There you go. They're just lying there in the cheese for some reason. Okay, what have we got? Let's say hi to some people. Fox Girl, sounds like she was the token black member. Bummer. No, she wasn't. That's the whole point, Fox Girl. She wasn't. There was nothing about that. The whole point was that she was a scientist. She was a scientist, but because of her visible invisibility, if that makes sense, that the institutions immediately sort of default. I think it's probably just the simplest thing for them to do is to, and again, I think innate bias and stuff goes like, well, she's black, she's got to be able to handle all this stuff. I mean, there's a tendency for white folks like me to feel like we have the right to ask people because they're of color about all of this stuff. And the reality is, why should they be obligated to talk to us about this stuff? I mean, obviously, I just don't think that we should be. I think we've got to be very careful of not sort of going like, well, you're black. Tell us how it is. It puts so much pressure on people. I think we have to do some of the research ourselves. There's obviously stuff that we're not going to understand because there's no way to get, we're not black. But I think it's important for us not to assume that just because someone is black that they owe us all the explanations that they have to explain to us. I mean, we have to do some of this work ourselves. It's important to do the reading, to do the research, to participate in these kind of things, to feel awkward about it, because it is. I mean, I'm a white, straight, old guy. I mean, so I'm sexist. I'm homophobic, and I'm racist. I mean, there's nothing I can do about that other than to work against it. And I think understanding that is really important, because I think when people think of racists, they think of people like, with Ku Klux Klan outfits on and Heil Hitlers and all that kind of stuff. I think that's it's almost easier to make them into monsters. I think what we need to look for is to look for that stuff happening within ourselves. And I'm very aware of a lot of it in myself. And I find it very awkward having these conversations, even this. I mean, I'm a little bit on edge just talking about it. Or even discussing this with people on set and things. I just get, but I feel like it's really important to do, because if we don't talk about it, I feel like it's too easy for it to sort of slip into the peripheral for us, especially as if it's not in our face all the time, like it is for so many people of color. I think it's really important to not, because we can ignore it. I think it's really important that we don't. How's that? I think that's probably the best way of putting it. Anyways, let me say some hi to some people. Now that I've done all my preaching. Okay, how do you get the right info then to make sure your research into their community and heritage isn't written by white people? Well, I mean, I think you can look to the author, right? I mean, there's a great book called So You Want to Talk About Race that I found fascinating, very uncomfortable, but fascinating. There's another one called Inconvenient Indian, which is all about sort of the indigenous people and the their struggles with a really some pretty shady dealing colonial negotiating going on there. So there definitely, I think it's, again, when you talk about how do you get the right information, I think you just I think you can find the books, you can find people who are talking about this stuff. Who are going to be who are a fantastic resource for that. I think what I'm saying is just don't assume, I think, that people want to talk about this. And it's an assumption that I've made many times, where I've been in a situation and race has come up and I've turned to, whoever is of color at the table and said, well, what do you think? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's, of course, we're just like, let's shine the spotlight. I mean, and again, you think you're doing the right thing, but I think just because we're trying to do the right thing doesn't make it right, doesn't make it less racist, doesn't make it less sexist, doesn't make it less homophobic, if that makes sense. Quick little story for you. Yesterday, talking to a female driver, okay? Weirdly, in the industry, haven't generally seen a lot of female drivers in the transport department. And I commented on that yesterday to this wonderful driver that I had, who, lo and behold, used technology like Waze and Google to find her way to set. Whereas so many of these old guys, I find, are just like, no, I know the way to go. I always go this way. This is a trick. It's a good way to go. And I'm like, yeah, but you can't see what Google sees. Anyway, so she very wisely is using technology the way I love it. And we were talking about I said, I feel like we're seeing a lot more women in transport. She says, yes, it's definitely improving. In fact, I didn't even know this. The head of transport on the show, on Clarice. Now I can't say my story, can I? I have to be careful. Is a woman. But anyways, she was talking about a situation that she got into, and I don't know whether it was on this show or on another show, where she arrived to pick up this massive many ton truck. She was supposed to go pick it up, drive it back to another location. She gets there, and this good old boy who was there says, "Oh, no, you can't drive that. You can't drive that. I'll bring so and so around to get it." And she goes, "That's a something ton truck." And she's like, "Yeah, no, I have a license for it." He goes, "Oh, no, well, this guy's got a license for it too." Turns out she she had a more advanced license. Like she had a license for larger vehicles than the one that he was saying that she shouldn't drive. He would not let her drive. He wouldn't let that little lady drive the thing. Now, whether that was being just straight out sexist or whether he was just being gallant or he felt he was being gallant, still sexist. Even though he may have been doing it for the right reasons, it's still completely sexist. The idea that that little lady can't drive that big old truck, that we should get a man in here to do that. I mean, that is, I'm kind of like, whoa, that's still happening? Anyway, so I just thought that was again, it's so important to talk to people, because you just get, like, again, when you have different people, when you have a diversity in these jobs, you're getting different perspectives on things, which means you're getting different ideas, which means you're getting different ways of doing things, and things don't stagnate, they change. People's different perspective means they have different solutions to problems, maybe better ones. So anyways, I got kind of excited about that. I mean, shocked, but kind of excited that we could talk about that. Okay, so it's your way or the wrong way, so closed-minded. Okay, so it's your way or the wrong way, so closed-minded. I don't understand what that means. Had during workshop, yeah. Since the male teacher was old school and did most of my work. Oh my God. Oh dear. Hello from Germany. Hello. So I got to say hi to FG. I got to say hi to Foxgirl, to Sandman, who I don't quite understand. So you're saying that you don't. So are you disagreeing? Is that what you're saying? So it's your way or the wrong way. So closed-minded. I don't understand. I don't think I'm saying that, but anyways. David Lloyd Jones says, you seem to prefer to assert the validity of ignorance as a position in its own right. You seem to prefer to assert the validity. What's that? What? Oh, Sandman. Talking to Sandman. I see. Hello, David Lloyd Jones. Thank you for engaging in this discussion. Christopher Abbott, 2013 John. The divide is real. So true. Sandman. Wrong. Yes, David Lloyd. They're going back and forth. Soma Brooft, Flynn. Who else we got here? Wow, we're going back and forth on this stuff. Metroid RTX, 2013 John, Tony, Christopher. I should go up to the top and see everyone who showed up right away, shouldn't I? Candace, Cinnabon Bunny. That's fun to say. Sherry, Kameraden, Ryan, Gary, Crazy Nut, Denmark. Hell Jumper, Carter. Oh yeah, all right. So people getting bored. I'm talking too much. Anyways, look, I've got to go. I have to. Oh my God, that's it. Yes, I've got a meeting right now. So I will say, be safe, be kind, be brilliant, and until we geek again, I will say cheerio and huzzah! Thank you all. Goodbye.